So this morning, it is my joy to introduce our chapel speaker, Dylan Precious. Dylan came to Montgomery in kindergarten, so he's been here for a very long time. And he's made a wonderful impression among you, his friends, and among his teachers. He is very hardworking. He's almost a perfectionist. That's what teachers say. He wants to do everything well and do them right. He's a phenomenal soccer player. One of his teachers said he is the next Elon Musk. That's pretty impressive. One of the things that we as teachers and adults here at Montgomery have noticed about Dylan is Dylan tends to be shy, but he is a leader. He's not a leader who says much. He's not a leader who wants to put himself up on the stage, but he's a leader who makes the right choice every single time. And I've seen that, and I know other teachers have seen that. I know you guys look up to him as a leader, or whether it's on the soccer field or in the classroom or just in any space here on Montgomery. He is a true leader, and you don't have to be loud to be a leader. You can be quiet and still be very impactful, and that's the kind of leader Dylan is. So this morning, I am just overjoyed that he's going to be presenting our 8th grade chapel. So please join me in welcoming Dylan to the stage.
Hello parents, students, and faculty. My name is Dylan Precious, and I'm here to talk to you about inspiration. When I hear the word inspiration, the meaning that comes to mind is someone or something that makes you want to do something. But an inspiration does not have to be a person. Inspirations can be the things you see or the places you go. For example, my family and I went out west during the summer of 2018. When we were out there, we drove from Las Vegas to California, then to Utah and Arizona. When we were in Utah, we got to stay in a tiny house in the middle of nowhere, which I must add was amazing. It was the landscape that really inspired me a lot. It was the flat, reddish rock desert, but only about 2 miles away, massive, towering mountains. Even though we were in the hot, dry desert, at night it was a different story. We did not know this at the time, but it was monsoon season, which meant there were massive storms and flooding. Putting all that aside, during the day it was beautiful. And after I got home, I realized how much I loved it there. And I was thinking, when I get older, I want to go back and build a house. If I ever did go back, I would rock climb and mountain bike in the mountains and dirt bike around the flat desert. But with all of that, try to live somewhere off the grid when I'm older. Now I'll tell you about 4 people that have inspired me. The first person that I want to talk about is Alex Honnold. Honnold inspired me to start rock climbing. He's a professional climber and is best known for free soloing, which is climbing without a rope. This is very dangerous, and if you make one wrong move, you will fall off and all the way to the bottom of the wall. Honnold recently free soloed El Cap, which is one of the hardest climbs in the world. El Capitan is in Yosemite National Park and is a sheer granite face. Honnold is such a good climber, but aside from that, what makes him really good at climbing is the will he has. It is when he's doing the extra bit of work that the others aren't that makes him that much better. He is extremely dedicated, and he will never give up on something he has started. It was about 5 months ago when I discovered my passion for rock climbing. Honnold was the first person I watched after trying it. What I love about climbing is the feeling when you're on the wall and you see the top and say to yourself that you can do it, and when you push yourself a little bit extra. I also watched his movie Free Solo, and ever since I first saw him climb, I tried it myself and loved it. Honnold is not the most outgoing person, but he's so good at what he does, which really inspired me to try and do it. The next person that I'll talk about is Elon Musk. Elon Musk inspired me to build and launch a rocket at the end of 6th grade. I found out about Elon Musk at the beginning of 6th grade, and after reading his book, Elon Musk, Tesla, and SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future, and hearing about him create the Falcon rockets. What I found so amazing about Elon Musk is that he always wants to do something new and better than ever. Elon Musk did not grow up with much, and he lived in South Africa when he was young. He just started to make things, and he even made a computer game called Blastar when he was young, and it sold for about $500. Musk is an extremely hardworking individual, and he'll do whatever it takes to improve himself or his companies. I've always been excited by space and designing things like rockets, but this just really inspired me to start designing more and wanting to build one myself. So that is just what I did in STEAM at the end of 6th grade. I worked on a 3D printed rocket for about 3 months. Fast forward in time, I'm ready to launch it, and here's a short video.
2, 1! Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, my eyes! My eyes!
Skipping forward to the beginning of 7th grade, I loved it so much I wanted to do it again. This time I wanted to do it bigger and better. So I spent about another 3 months designing it, and this time the rocket was also 3D printed, and now about 2 feet tall. At this time it had an actual parachute, unlike the last which only had a streamer. Again I was ready for launch day, but this time it was during Mrs. Sheldrick's rocket project, and here's another video.
3, 2, 1!
Shout out to Mrs. Sheldrick. Thank you for helping encourage my love of science. The third person I will talk about is Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo is definitely one of my biggest inspirations. He is one of the reasons why I play soccer and strive to get better every day. I have looked up to Ronaldo since I was old enough to know who he was and know what soccer really is. He played for Sporting Lisbon when he was young, and then he got signed to play for Manchester United, which was a massive achievement for him. He then went on to play for Real Madrid in Spain, and just recently moved to Juventus in Italy. Ronaldo also plays for his country, which is Portugal, and when he plays in the World Cup, that's who he plays for. He's arguably one of the best players ever to exist. And to be as good as he is, you have to have a bit of luck and be naturally skilled, but he puts in so much hard work, and he'll do whatever it takes to be at the top of his game. Ronaldo also has to be confident and believe in himself. He plays left wing and is extremely skilled. Ronaldo scored about 700 goals in his long career. I watched so many videos on him when I was younger and learned many skills from him too. Even though Ronaldo may have a reputation, I only paid attention to what he was good at, and that was playing soccer and working hard. All that aside, I will look up to Ronaldo forever, and he will definitely be one of my biggest inspirations. The final person that inspires me is my great uncle Jeff. He is the founder of the charity called Ripple Africa in the village of Maiwea in the Nakata Bay district of Malawi, Africa. They focus in on one village, and they try to help the people there improve life and make new inventions to help them and hopefully others. The charity's mission is to empower the community so they themselves can achieve a sustainable future. Their motto is providing a hand up and not a hand out. They've made a few new things to help life around the village. For example, Fish for Tomorrow, which implements a restriction on the minimum size of fishing nets, because they used to use fishing nets that were meant for mosquitoes, which meant they were catching fish that were too small. When I finished school, I planned to go out to Malawi for a while and help volunteer for Ripple Africa. Here's a video from him and some of the people in the village.
Hi everybody at Montgomery School. My name's Jeffrey Ferber and I am Dylan's great uncle. And I'm very flattered because he wanted me to do a short film to show at his presentation to your school today. Well, when I was 22 years old, I started my first business, which was an office cleaning business in the UK. And although one obviously wants to make money when you have business, one of the key things to me was the people in the business, and I loved empowering people in my business and making them achieve things that they never thought they could achieve. Anyway, about 17 years ago, my wife and I were traveling through Africa, and we found a property on Lake Malawi in Malawi that was for sale. to cut a long story short, we decided to buy it, and we set up a charity called Ripple Africa. Well, I'd never really had an idea of setting up a charity before, and it was purely by accident that it all really happened. But it's completely changed our lives. Well, the charity is now 17 years old nearly, and we now employ about 150 full-time people here in Malawi, and we have about 8,000 people working on our projects. Well, we first started with education and healthcare projects. The education projects, we have 8 preschools, each have about 70 to 100 children. We help 5 primary schools, and we've built a secondary school. And education, as I'm sure all of you at school will understand, is really one of the keys to life. And if you can get a good education, it really stands you in good stead for the future. We also have healthcare projects, which we started, and now we help in the local health centres, and we have a disabilities project.
I'm Matilda Mwale, working with Leap Africa as a coordinator for people with disabilities, and this is Pirilani Mnyenyembe as one of my clients.
But really, my real passion lies with the environment. And Malawi is a really beautiful country. But unfortunately, what's happened is because the population has grown so quickly, to give you an idea, in my lifetime, the population of Malawi has grown from 3 million to over 18 million. So nowadays, nearly, over half the population in the country is probably under 15. Well, this puts a huge strain on all resources in the country, but particularly the natural resources like trees and fish and things like that. So where I've been really spending my time is to try and help the local Malawians deal with this problem. And my philosophy, being a businessman, is that this problem has to be sorted out by the local Malawians themselves, not by aid, not by governments. It needs to be sorted out by the people that are affected by it, people who live in the rural areas, for example. Well, what we've done with our environmental projects, we have forest conservation projects. We're helping communities to protect their own forested areas. And it's vital these are kept, because it means that their farmland, which is normally on the lower slopes, gets better rainfall. We're also helping lots of individual farmers and communities to grow trees, and to date we've planted about 12 million trees. This year alone we're planting about 3 million trees. So that's really helping these people. It'll give them an income for the future when they can come to sell the wood. A lot of the trees that are being planted are pine trees, so they can sell the wood for timber, for building purposes, for furniture making, that sort of thing. And the other thing is that where you live, obviously everybody uses gas or electric for cooking. Well, over here, very few people, virtually nobody's got gas, and probably only 4 to 10% of the population have electricity. So the main source of fuel in this country is firewood. So people are busily cutting down all these trees, and they cook normally on very inefficient 3-stone fires. These 3-stone fires consume a huge amount of wood. Also, they produce a lot of smoke, which is very dangerous for the mothers and children that are breathing the smoke in. So we've got quite a big project where we've got 40,000 households now that have built a Changu Moto, which literally means fast fire. It's a fuel-efficient cook stove which burns very efficiently, produces less smoke, far less dangerous for children who often get burnt with the 3-stone fires. And this particular project saves about 80,000 bundles of wood like this every week. It's amazing. Our largest project is fish conservation. Because of the rapidly growing population, the fishing in the lake now is a real problem. And it's made even worse by aid. And the reason for that is because we get probably something like 9 million mosquito nets donated to this country almost either every year or every 2 years. Now, the local children and women and fishermen have realized that these make fantastic fishing nets. So instead of catching fish at the right size, they're catching fish at this sort of size, which could literally go to this sort of size. And often you'll find that two young children will go down to a fish breeding area, and they catch a whole cooking pot full of these little tiny fish. We have a fish here called chambo, and they can probably catch about 1,000 of these fish, and they eat them in just one meal, one poor family. Now, if you could let them grow to this size, that would be worth over $1,000. So what we're doing is we're educating the local population of the problem of fishing in this method, and all the other things that they're doing wrong with their fishing. And we've put the ownership with the local people. Now, normally fishermen will complain that they're not catching fish and they blame the government. Well, as I say to them, look, the government is not going to help because they have no money. So if you want to change the fish for tomorrow, you've got to do it yourselves. So we've now set up bylaws with the local chiefs, and we've got local fish conservation committees. In fact, we've got probably about 250 communities. So there's about 2,500 people now working on this project along a 300-kilometre stretch of lakeshore. And their responsibility is to look after the fishing in their immediate area. And if anybody now comes and fishes with illegal fishing gear like mosquito nets, they can confiscate them, and they can fine them, and they can keep the money. So it's truly a question of getting Malawians to be the solution to their problems. So this really sort of tells you a bit about Ripple Africa and my values. I really believe in ownership by people. I believe in people achieving more than they ever thought they could do. And I think it's vitally important that you enjoy what you do, and I love what I do, and that we make this world a better place. Anyway, that's all from me now. I'd like to just thank you all and to wish Dylan all the very best with his presentation. Thank you very much.
Here is a challenge for all of you. Try to inspire someone to do something good today. To end this chapel, I will say one thing, and that is to remember that inspiration is not just being inspired by people. You can be inspired by the things you see, the things you hear, and the places you go. Thank you, and have an inspirational day.